There are some stories you think you already know, until the truth hits harder than a steel chair in a WWE ring. This is not just about the legend. This is about the woman behind him for 26 years. The woman who stood by his side during his rise, bore his children, watched his muscles grow bigger than their bank account, and endured years in silence. Until now. Linda Hogan has broken that silence. And once you hear what she has to say, you may never look at Hulk Hogan the same way again. Before we dive in, pause, take a breath, and if you believe the truth deserves to be heard, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about the real cost of fame. Because sometimes, even a superhero wears a mask to hide their scars. Linda Claridge, blonde, bright-eyed, former model, and eventual wife of Terry Jean Bollea, better known as Hulk Hogan, didn't just marry a wrestler. She married a franchise. A brand. A global phenomenon. But behind the glitz of WrestleMania, the action figures, and the roars of Hulkamania, there was a woman living in the shadow of a man she barely recognized anymore. They married in 1983, back when Hulk was still growing into the icon he would become. At first, it was love. Real love. He was charming. Gentle. A bit naive. They laughed about everything. Built dreams in the Florida sun. And when Brooke and Nick were born, it felt like life was unfolding the way she always imagined. But somewhere along the road, somewhere between the world tours, the steroids, the press conferences, and the ring lights, Linda says she lost her husband to fame. And worse, she says she lost herself. In her recent interviews, Linda doesn't hold back. She calls Hulk a sex addict, a man driven by lust and ego, fueled by attention and adoration, both in and out of the ring. She alleges that the man fans saw ripping his shirt and preaching about integrity was not the same man she lived with. Not the same man her children called Dad. She describes their marriage as a performance. One where she smiled for the cameras while dying inside. One where betrayal became routine. Where women would call their house. Where she'd find strange phone numbers. And every time she confronted him, she says he'd either deny it or explode. And then there were the physical absences. She says he'd disappear for weeks, touring, training, filming, and come back with stories that didn't add up. At first, she tried to make it work. For the kids. For the family brand. For the image. But the cracks began to show. And then they widened into chasms. By the early 2000s, things were falling apart. Hulk's fame was shifting. The reality show Hogan Knows Best painted a glossy picture of family life. But Linda says it was all a lie. We were playing characters, she admitted. Nothing in that house was real anymore. And then came the infamous sex tape scandal. In 2012, the world saw what Linda had lived with for years. A leaked tape showing Hulk in bed with a friend's wife. The betrayal went viral. But for Linda, the humiliation wasn't new. It was just public now. She filed for divorce in 2007. It was messy. It was brutal. It involved property, money, and custody battles. But the part that hurt most? She says it was the abandonment. When we divorced, I thought we'd still be a family somehow, she confessed. But I was erased. From everything. What followed was a whirlwind of silence and suffering. Hulk moved on, eventually remarrying. Linda, meanwhile, faded from the limelight. But she wasn't idle. She was processing. Healing. And watching from a distance as her ex-husband reclaimed the spotlight with WWE appearances, public apologies, and even political statements. For years, Linda said nothing. Until now. In her most recent sit-down, Linda finally gave voice to the pain. People think I left him for no reason, she said, tears welling in her eyes. They don't know what I endured. The infidelity. The gaslighting. The fear. She said she often felt unsafe. Unloved. And unheard. And even though the divorce was finalized, she claims the emotional weight never left. The public continued to paint her as the villain, the bitter ex, the gold digger, the woman who took half his money. But Linda wants the world to know, she didn't want his money. She wanted his honesty, his loyalty, his respect. And in the end, she says she got none of that. As she tells it, she spent over 2 decades building a home, managing the household, raising the kids, while also supporting Hulk's every move. And when it came time to divide assets, she says she walked away with far less than people believe. I built that empire too, she said. And I was left with dust. The emotional weight lingers even now. She admits to struggling with depression, trust issues, and the constant feeling of being replaced in the eyes of fans and even her own children. Linda and Hulk's daughter, Brooke, has tried to remain neutral publicly, but insiders say the family relationship has long been strained. Their son Nick's legal troubles in 2007 only deepened the family rift. And now that Hulk Hogan has passed away, on July 25, 2025, from cardiac arrest, Linda's voice is louder than ever. But make no mistake, this is not a vindictive woman dancing on a grave. No, her tone is somber, even mournful. I loved him, she says. Part of me always will. But I had to leave to save myself. She has paid a heavy price for that decision. Tabloids tore her apart. Commentators mocked her. And for years, she says, she couldn't find work or peace. Yet through all of it, Linda has emerged with one mission, to reclaim her narrative. She says she's not trying to destroy Hulk Hogan's legacy. But she refuses to be edited out of the truth. I was there, she says. From the beginning. Before the fame. Before the belts. I saw the real man. And I also saw the destruction he left behind. In one emotional segment, she holds up a family photo. Her eyes linger on it. This was real to me, she says. I didn't marry Hulk Hogan. I married Terry. And somewhere along the way, I lost him. And as viewers, we're left to ask, what does it mean to be married to a legend? What does it cost to love someone the world adores, when they no longer adore you? Linda Hogan's story is not just the story of a wrestling wife. It's the story of a woman who believed in love, who gave everything to a man who became larger than life, and who ultimately had to walk away to stay alive. So now, we ask you, what do you think? Was Linda wrong to speak up after all these years? Or is it finally her time to be heard? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation the world needs to have. And if you believe that truth, even hard truth, should never be silenced, then like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like these? They're not just entertainment. They're real. They're raw. And they remind us that behind every icon is someone left in the shadows.